Hi you guys, welcome. My name is Michael. Today we're going to talk about connecting two batteries together so that you have a spare battery, also known as an auxiliary battery or a house battery, for all your accessories. So when you're off the grid, you don't run down your starting battery because that would be bad. Everything we talk about on this channel will help to prepare you for long-term adventure off the beaten path. Now, hey, if you guys go out there and Google dual battery setup, you know you're gonna get flooded with the full spectrum of possibilities. In fact, I'm installing a RedArc battery management system on the 80, but in the meantime, I wanna connect my batteries together, so I'm gonna show you how. Now, if you're interested in the battery management install that I'm doing or already following that series, fear not, it's coming up in the future. Subscribe and you'll see those videos. Okay. What if you want to go out into the garage with a couple of parts, a few parts, and about 75 bucks and have a dual battery setup? That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So let's head on over, way over there to the dedicated, fully equipped, and highly sophisticated Overland Bound garage and get started. Okay, yeah, I'm kidding. We rent. We have an understanding landlord. Thanks, Doug. You'll see dogs, kids, screaming, yelling, garbage trucks, whatever. What is super important with any dual battery setup? You have to isolate your starting battery from your spare battery. Otherwise, when you're off the grid, you're way out there, you're listening to your music, you're charging your phones, you'll actually be draining both batteries at once and you won't be able to start. That would be super bad. So you need specific parts in order to isolate, separate the batteries unless there's a charge going to them. So you need certain parts. It's simple. Let's look at those parts right now. I'll show you what they are and I'll talk just a little bit about them and then we'll get that install started. You guys will be prepared to do your own. All right, let's look at these parts quickly. Now, there's the best way to do a thing with the best components, and then there's the way you can afford. And this is the way I can afford right now, so I thought I'd share that with you. It's about 75 bucks. Now, all of these parts are durable and they will last. That's important for overland travel because we're extreme for our vehicles. So I won't ever show you anything that is like, I think it's gonna break, right? Never. So this is all good, but I'll tell you a couple of upgrades I'll make in the future. All right, this is the heart of it right here. This is the heart of it. This is the solenoid that disconnects the battery unless there is power going to the solenoid. So your starting battery goes in one side, this goes out the other side to your house battery, and unless your ignition is on, the batteries are not connected, so you won't drain down your starting battery when you're using your accessories. So in terms of functionality, that's the most important. In terms of safety, great big old fuses, one on each battery because we power a lot of stuff, and this will prevent fire in the case of an extreme short. So great big 80 amp fuses, one for each battery. Now, these lugs here, I will improve in the future. They'll work for today, but they will make sure that we have a solid contact on our solenoid and to the fuses. And this is shrink wrap tubing, thick-walled shrink wrap tubing, which has a shrink ratio of 4:1. By the way, you guys know, I will link all this stuff in the description so you can just go and look at it and see what you want for yourself and upgrade if you want to. But that's about it. In terms of wiring, the 4-gauge stuff is for the battery and the accessories. Nice and heavy duty, it's 4-gauge. And then the 12-gauge stuff is for the solenoid, just powering the solenoid off and on. There's never gonna be a heavy draw, so it doesn't need to be as heavy gauge. Let's put it in the truck. All right, you guys, a quick orientation. This is my starting battery. This is my auxiliary battery. I got a video on how I put this in here. I'll link it up. And then what I need to do is, simply put, I need to connect this battery through the solenoid to this battery, and then I need to connect all of my accessories to this battery, and then wire this up to turn off and on with the ignition key. That's a quick orientation. Let's route some wires and get it installed. All right, you guys, all the wiring is done. The project is just about complete. I'm gonna tidy up some wires. It took me just about 10 minutes to do this. So if you have any serious commitments, you know, some important events to go to, this is a great project to take. I'm kidding. It took me all day, so give yourself a day to do this. I want to point out a couple of things, and then we'll follow the electricity so you guys understand how it all works. So a couple of things. You'll notice I used a lot of hand tools. That's because when you're doing delicate work, I just like using hand tools because you can feel how much tension is on things when you're tightening it. Another thing, there's no electrical tape in this wiring job. Should be obvious, but you don't use that to do a good clean wiring job. And then the eagle eye of you will have noticed that I put a 100 amp breaker on the back firewall. It's something that I already had. It's optional. You don't need to do it, but this cuts off all my accessories. So if I just click this button right here, boom, just like that, the truck goes back to factory wiring. All the accessories are off. That's all it takes, is that switch. That's why I have that there. I have the 2 fuses and everything's pretty much buttoned up. The last thing I'm gonna point out is you guys probably saw that fuse relay box over there that I have uncovered. If you're interested in creating a relay fuse box, I have another video for that. I will link that as well. So the thing about the relay box, you'll notice it's not solid state. All of the wiring is just analog. It is a wire that goes to a relay. That's so I could diagnose it. It's also fairly large. That way I can see where every circuit is. This vehicle is not an around the town vehicle. It's an expedition vehicle. So I want everything to be non-solid state, direct wired connection so that I can maintain it in the field. So even when I go with the battery management system here, I'll always be able to switch over to manual. I'll go for any solid state stuff I install on here, I'll be able to bypass it and go back to manual. That's just a requirement in my opinion. All right, let's follow the electricity. Okay, you saw from the main battery, boom, this is my starting battery. What feels really good is that now there are no accessories attached to it at all. I removed all the accessories. So now this is just for the vehicle. Then my 4-gauge wire went to an 80 amp breaker, sorry, not a breaker, a fuse, 80 amp fuse. That's for safety in case I have a catastrophic short. That fuse will bust. This comes over and a little confusing, don't be fooled. It comes by the battery, but it actually goes right on through to the relay. And then from the relay, the power, this is vehicle charge power, goes through another 80 amp fuse over here just for safety, and then finally to the positive terminal of the battery. Now, note, it passes through the relay. When the engine is off, like it is now, these batteries are completely disconnected because this relay is open. As soon as I turn the key, the system will be connected. That's so when I start my engine and I get charging power to my starter battery, it also is connected to this battery and it will charge the second battery as well. Now, from this battery, I have the positive 4-gauge cable going back through my breaker and into my relay box, and that's all my accessories. Again, boom, all my accessories are now turned off and I'm back to factory wiring, okay? That's how that works. Now, you can test this relay before you start up the truck and do anything by connecting it to the positive terminal and negative terminal right here because you can hear it. I'm going to show you that in just 1 second. This wire, this positive ignition switch wire, I'm just lucky. This used to be my power antenna. It's only powered when the ignition is on, so I tapped off here to turn my relay on, okay? Now, if all this sounds confusing, and it absolutely should, I'll have a wiring diagram for you guys to follow, okay? So you just look at the wiring diagram, take it slow, and you'll be able to install this dual battery setup yourself. Let me show you what this relay sounds like when the ignition is going off and on. Okay, we're gonna simulate the key being turned on. Listen. No question. you know that thing is on, all right? Hey, you guys remember we also have an app, Overland Bound 1. It's free to use, and then we'd love to have you as part of the crew, become a member. It has not only map resources, but it also has that community connection, trips and events near you as well. And in August, expedition mode, off-grid tools for serious adventure travel. Go and check it out, Overland Bound 1, iOS and Android. Thanks, let's get back to it. Now we're gonna test the idles kick down, so it might be a little less voltage, but what do we got? 13.96, almost 14, and I'll bet if I rev the engine, it'd go up to 14. Charging the auxiliary battery. Success. You guys, that is it. I expect you to have lots of questions. That is a dual battery setup for about 75 bucks. So comments, I will answer your questions. Also remember, look at the links for all the parts that I use, and also check out the wiring diagram because it'll really help solidify how it all works. But that's a simple setup. That'll keep you from draining your car battery when you're off grid. All right, you guys, thank you for hanging out with me. Lots more to come. Until next time, outfit and explore.